A one-time heavyweight champion who is on the comeback trail in this just his third fight back after a nearly 8-year layoff. And what happened? Well, it was Mike Tyson who literally knocked Seldon into retirement. Why, you ask, is Seldon coming out of retirement in this his third fight? Well, he says he misses the game, and with the heavyweight division being wide open, he thinks he can make a little noise. At the other end of the spectrum is Gerald Nobles, a South Philadelphia fighter with a very quick wit. He is hoping that this 22-0 mark of his won't be misjudged by those who claims he has not fought in any quality competition. He says, hey, don't judge me just yet. I just haven't had my time in the light. And in fact, this will be my coming out fight. We'll find out if he is clairvoyant or not. Let's take it back downstairs to an even quicker wit, Jim Lampley.
All right, to the heavyweight division, as James pointed out, Bruce Seldon is now 37 years old. It was 9 years ago when he won a heavyweight championship belt, defended it once and then ultimately lost it in a fight against Mike Tyson here in Las Vegas. A 4-year age advantage for Gerald Jedi Nobles. He's also 1 inch taller. The 3.5-inch arm length advantage for Seldon could be significant in the fight, because back in the days when he was at his peak, Seldon's primary weapon was a good, sharp piston jab. Weight, 233 for Nobles. Seldon up at 251. Back in the day, when he was at his peak, he weighed 225 or 230. Rules of the bout, weather unofficial ringside scorer Harold Letterman.
The Gerald Nobles Bruce Seldon fight is scheduled for 10 rounds, non-title, using the unified rules that you see on your screen. Jim, real quick, the 4 criteria that the judges will use to score each individual round: clean punching, effective aggressiveness, ring generalship, and defense, with a strong emphasis on clean, effective punching.
Another beautiful day in America's hottest real estate market. A look at the Strip, still burgeoning. More construction ongoing all the time. Virtually every time we arrive here, there's some other new building. On America's most dynamically successful commercial strip of real estate over the course of the past few years. And the crowd is beginning to arrive in the arena. We expect a pretty full house for the Jones-Tarver bout. Huge crowd in the sports book this afternoon watching Smarty Jones win the Preakness. Many of them will be coming in to see the other Jones in the main event tonight. There are Seldon's notable wins. Out-jabbed Tony Tucker to take the title belt that he ultimately surrendered to Tyson. And he's still living down the embarrassment of what happened in his appearance against Mike Tyson here in Las Vegas. Well, I mean, because on that date, September 7, 1996, Seldon went down twice early in the first round against Tyson, and in the eyes of many ringside observers, wasn't ever really hit with a significant punch.
Well, the first one looked like Sammy Sosa missing a fastball. Went right over his head, and I guess the wind blew him down. The second one was a short punch that Tyson landed, but he himself admits that he just completely froze and had to leave his hometown of Atlantic City because he was so humiliated. Friends didn't want to know him anymore. Moved to nearby Camden and says he's trying to rewrite his story.
There's a look at Seldon, about whom Larry is discussing that long and difficult passage since the Tyson fight. And during that discussion, we also showed you Gerald Nobles coming to the ring. Gerald Jedi Nobles, who, like Seldon, had a stint in the big house and missed the middle portion of his teen into 20s transition, but since he's taken up boxing, has done well, unbeaten, 22-0 with 17 KOs. Let's go to Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Mandalay Bay Resort Casino of Las Vegas, Don King Productions is proud to present this special heavyweight attraction sponsored by CM Exchange and brought to you in association with the Mandalay Bay, sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. The three judges at ringside scoring this bout will be Al Lefkowitz, Dalby Shirley, and Glenn Trowbridge. And when the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, Tony Weeks. And now from the Mandalay Bay of Las Vegas, 10 rounds of boxing. This is in the heavyweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing gold trimmed with black and officially weighing 251 pounds. His professional record, 35 victories, including 31 knockouts with only 4 defeats. Originally from Atlantic City, New Jersey, but now living and fighting out of Camden, New Jersey. Ladies and gentlemen, the former heavyweight champion of the world, Bruce Seldon. And his opponent across the ring, fighting in white and weighing in officially at 200 pounds. A perfect professional record consisting of 22 bouts, 22 victories, including 17 knockouts. From Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the undefeated South Philly powerhouse, Gerald, the Jedi Noble.
Okay, gentlemen, both receive your instructions in your dressing room. Okay, right here is good, English that's going to be low. Right here is good, English that's going to be low. I want a good, clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Above all, protect yourselves at all times. Ready? Ready? Let's go.
Nobles has a reputation, Jim, for stretching the rules a bit here and there, particularly early in the fights. Comes from South Philly and throws some punches that often go to South Philly.
And Emmanuel, you know Nobles pretty well because he portrayed the role of Mike Tyson in your training camp with Lennox Lewis leading up to the Lewis-Tyson bout in Memphis.
That's correct, Joe. In fact, he may have been the key sparring partner that we used more than anyone else in training. This fight here is really an East Coast fight. I was looking at the trainers in Bruce Seldon's corner are from Philadelphia. Richard Cates, one of our former light heavyweights. And so this is going to be an exciting fight because the camps know all about each other.
I think Nobles just took Bruce Seldon's best right hand seconds ago. They have traded some massive shots in there.
Well, so much for Bruce Seldon's jab, he hasn't used it at all tonight.
He landed the straight right hand flush, and Nobles didn't go anywhere.
Come on, hands free. Come on. Stop, stop. Let him up. Stop, stop. Let him go.
I think there might be a trickle of blood from the mouth of Nobles. Probably the product of that right hand, if in fact that's the case.
Noble has got a nice record, but he's never fought any quality fighters. So the most fame he's got for the most part has been sparring with Lennox Lewis probably. And he did win a knockout over Maurice Harris one time, but he lost him in that unofficial tournament that they had for the
Yeah, there was a tournament in Atlantic City, a night of heavyweights.
Yeah, Cedric Cushing's tournament.
Where several heavyweights fought 3 or 4 round fights. I don't remember what they were, and at the end of the evening, Harris was the overall winner with a series of decisions, but that was unofficial. In the official fight, Nobles knocked Harris out in 3 rounds. As you can see, he's got mostly a brawler style and loves to fire that left hook.
It's a brawler's fight, and Bruce Seldon is doing the same thing. He's not doing any boxing at all.
Somebody is bleeding because a lot of blood on the trunks of Noble.
Yeah, I think that blood is coming out of Noble's mouth from the right hand of Seldon.
No, the right eye of Seldon.
There it is.
That's a really bad cut.
You're right. Yep, I didn't see that before, but there's the big cut outside the right eye, Bruce Seldon.
Let him go. Stop, stop.
It's going to be very difficult to see this fight going past 3 rounds.
Seldon actually switched to a southpaw stance there.
Let him go. Step back, step back.
And it's going to be very difficult to see this fight going past 3 rounds.
Seldon actually switched to a southpaw stance there.
Bruce, let him go. Step back, step back.
And that,
For reasons unknown.
well, Gerald Noble.
Now Noble's in a southpaw stance.
Come on.
So Seldon switched southpaw to face up with Noble when Noble went southpaw, and now Seldon fires a straight right hand. Remembered what to do against the southpaw.
These guys are just brawling. It doesn't matter what position they punch from.
Trading shots. Noble's trying to get in one more big left hook before the end of the round. And now we'll see what cutman Bill Johnson can do with the right eye of Bruce Seldon. Maybe Johnson was listening to our earlier discussion of coagulants and is all ready to go.
Well, cutman again. Plenty of practice tonight.
Bruce, listen to me. Bruce, you gotta look at me. Bruce, you gotta work your jab. You're not using your jab.
Was that a headbutt?
You gotta relax, Bruce. Okay?
It was an accidental headbutt.
Hold on, Coach. You gotta relax, Bruce. Look at jab. You slugging with the guy. Why?
Don't slug it. Jab.
Fight your style. Go back to your style. We talking about this now. I want you, Bruce. I want you, Bruce, to use your jab.
Them body shots.
Look at this. Gerald Noble stood up with 30 seconds to go between rounds. I guess they were finished the discussion. He was ready.
Yeah, Gerald is a high-strung guy. When it comes down to just plain guts, he may have a slight edge over Bruce in this fight, even though he doesn't have the experience.
Noble stalking. And immediately manages to get leather on the right eye. Not a high impact punch. You heard Seldon's corner asking him to throw the jab, and instead he knocks Nobles down with a comeback counter left hook.
Yeah, just as he was pulling back. I don't know how serious it looked like. It was part of his off balance as well as being a good punch.
Come to me. Look at me. You all right? You continue? Okay. I got you. Let him go.
Now Nobles is talking to Seldon.
This is strictly a brawl.
No doubt Nobles was telling Seldon that the knockdown was nothing and he didn't touch him at all. There's a jab and a right hand.
I got you. Stop. Keep your hands up. One shot, baby. Keep your hands up. Stop. Come up.
Seldon may actually be a little quicker with his hands face to face. Despite the 8-year layoff.
Yeah, but he isn't using the jab, which his corner told him to use, and that's what he basically had all of his success in his career was off of his left jab.
So you're saying he's playing with fire by brawling with Gerald Nobles. He's playing Nobles' game.
Gerald Noble is a brawler. That's exactly what he is, and he wins most of his fights by just playing out-gutting guys. And this is what is falling right into his lap, the way that they're fighting right now.
And of course the cut plays in his favor as well.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to go 10 full rounds with that type of a cut.
Left hand by Seldon. Nobles fires to the body, and they grab each other again. This is not going to be the easiest job Tony Weeks ever had.
No, two big guys up here. They're both doing a lot of brawling, heads clashing, legs getting wrapped around each other and tangled up.
So Seldon gets himself into position to box and then just waits for Nobles to come brawling.
During that 8-year layoff, I guess he forgot all about his best punch. Oh, my God. Noble is being very smart. He's throwing punches to the outside. Then he comes right up between the middle.
Body shot by Nobles. After the 8-year layoff, only 2 fights in the books so far. You wonder how well Seldon will take body punishment. Bruce hadn't been very active in this round, as they spent much of the round leaning on each other. But the cut didn't do too badly.
No, it seems to be slowing down. In fact,
and now Bill Johnson will get a second chance at it. Knockdown replay. And There's Seldon's little left hand.
Good punch, but I think a lot of all the credit has to go with being off balance too.
Got him right on the temple.
Yeah, well, Noble is the type of guy that leaves himself open a lot anyway.
So that was a scoring. Is already tired, and Nobles continues to get up off of his stool 30 seconds into the between rounds period to stand and wait and say, come on, let's fight.
Noble is probably just as tired as Seldon is, but he's a real gutty type guy. I know sometimes in training camp he would be tired in 2 rounds with Lennox and he would still go 8 rounds.
And he's far more accustomed to fighting at this moment in his life than is Bruce Seldon. There's a big left hand by Nobles. Second big left hand. Seldon stunned, shaking his head as if to say, ah, you didn't hurt me.
Stop. Let him go.
Seldon threw only 26 punches in the second round.
In his previous experience or career, Seldon never fought this type of a fight. So this is a whole new experience for him. He was always basically just a jabber. Good punches with his left hand, and mostly stopped guys eventually as a result of boxing and rounding out with his jab. This is totally different for him.
And the eye appears to be closing, although it's hard to tell from this angle. I thought we were in the 4th round. We're only in the 3rd. I better get my act together. Takes a long time to develop the conditioning necessary to really fight. You can try to convince yourself you're ready. And now Seldon manages to get in another good left-hand pop, but immediately has to hold Nobles. As at this point, Bruce Seldon has been reduced to throwing 1 punch at a time. Maybe the 3rd or 4th time in the fight he's actually tried to land his jab. And Nobles is bouncing as if to say to him, hey, I'm fresh as a daisy. You're in trouble here. Gerald Nobles has not been terribly active. 1 10-round fight back in 2001. Since then, Dennis McKinney 2 rounds in 2002. Ryan Guerrero 8 rounds in 03. And a 1-round KO of Willie Williams earlier this year.
Stop.
Seldon, after the 8-year delay, made his comeback on March 6, knocking out Otis Tisdale in 3 rounds. Then on April 9, knocked out a former light heavyweight in a mismatch in the 2nd round in Philadelphia. This is the first real difficult fight he's had in this comeback.
It's definitely a difficult fight. Even though he said he actually froze up and wouldn't fight when he fought with Tyson, at this point, he's made up for it by this performance tonight.
He's showing some courage.
He's showing a lot of courage tonight, believe me. So regardless of what happens, his neighbors shouldn't be laughing at him.
Here's a man whose neighbors will never laugh at him. Pensacola, Florida's pride and joy. Roy Jones Jr. arrived about 20 minutes ago. And this has been an entirely different week for Roy. You see the smile on his face. Last November, prior to Jones's fight against Tarver, there would not have been a single smile like that in the preceding week, as he was devastated by the process of trying to make 175 pounds for this fight. This time, Emmanuel, entirely different.
He feels very comfortable, happy about his way, happy about everything going into this fight. And there won't be any excuses, he said. I expect a brilliant performance from Roy tonight.
2 rounds to 1, Gerald Nobles. Jim, I got to tell you something. Round 2, you just could not call 10-8 for Bruce Seldon. He knocked it down early, but Gerald Nobles absolutely won the last 2 minutes and 45 seconds of the round. I mean, no, rounds 1 and 3 for Nobles, rounds 2 for Seldon, 2-1 Nobles.
And now as we get into the 4th round, and I was trying to put us into the 4th round early, but finally we're there. And Seldon, as you can see, Seldon gets off a left to the body. There's the jab again.
The jab.
Hadn't landed it. Nobles is being really smart in this round, Emmanuel. He's got the fight where he wants it, so he's just hunting Seldon's body and trying to take out whatever's left of Seldon's energy.
You can see Seldon gradually weakening, but by the same token right now, Nobles looked like he may have gotten a little tired and fatigued also.
Nobles loading an uppercut. Couldn't get it to find the target.
Yeah, this is a fight, as I said, just who can dig down the deepest and win these type of fights here, because the skill level is pretty much the same.
Watch the form, watch the form. I got you. Stop.
Well, if Seldon's last appearance in Las Vegas was a blot on the record of his manhood, this, as Emmanuel Stewart has pointed out, is something different. It doesn't look as though he has a chance to win the fight, but he has hung in against hellacious punishment, particularly for the last 2 rounds. There's a left hook. There's another left hook. The last stand of Bruce Seldon, perhaps, lands a jab out of the southpaw stance. And throws a right hand that catches Nobles on the button. But not enough pop on it to make any difference at this point. And Nobles bangs away with 2 more hard shots to the body before they go to their corners.
Bruce.
Let's take a look at what's upcoming on our next HBO pay-per-view boxing telecast.
Oscar De La Hoya is headed for the biggest challenge of his life, the world.
We enter round 5 of a scheduled 10-round affair between heavyweights Gerald Nobles in the white trunks and Bruce Seldon in the gold trunks. Seldon, a one-time heavyweight title belt holder, trying to mount a comeback late in life, age 37. And Nobles, at 33, a relatively inexperienced younger heavyweight, even at age 33, trying to make his way up toward contender status. Poor Bruce Seldon, no legs left with which to move, just standing in the corner waiting for Nobles to try to land against him.
But, you know, Bruce still shoots his punches a little bit more accurate than Gerald Nobles, so at any point in time, he still may come out with a punch and catch Nobles still.
Stop, let him up.
Seldon trying to set a trap and draw Nobles in and land one big effective punch. Body shot by Nobles momentarily freezes Seldon in the corner.
Seldon is trying to rest, take his time, save his low energy, pick his punches.
It's wild to see Seldon fighting long extended periods out of the southpaw stance. You know, when he gets in the southpaw stance, dips to the right and loops the right hand up, he lands it.
He lands a shot, and that's why at this stage, even though, you know, I got Noble winning the fight, but it's still a dangerous fight because Seldon still is punching back, and he punches with much more accuracy when he punches.
He's not punching back enough.
No, that's it.
Seldon does have the knockdown to his credit. He knocked Nobles down in the second round.
I just can't figure out him boxing in the southpaw stance. There's something is wrong somewhere.
He decides to go into a southpaw stance when Nobles goes into a southpaw stance. That's a pretty effective way to take away Bruce Seldon's left jab, huh?
Yeah, very effective. But I just can't figure that out. And he's still getting with those left uppercuts right between the gloves. Thank God it's not Mike Tyson shooting him up between the gloves.
We mentioned that cutman Bill Johnson might conceivably be able to stop the bleeding on the cut outside of Bruce Seldon's right eye, and that has been done. Still, I think his vision might have been compromised because the eye has swelled during the course of the fight. Roundhouse punches land for Seldon. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. A little pop with the right hand. Nobles landing 2 low blows to Seldon's hip on the side away from Tony Week. This is a gutty, gritty performance by Bruce Seldon. A fighter not known for guts and grit prior to this.
Tremendous performance in terms of guts.
How you feel?
Because he's been hit with a lot of good punches, and there's any reason, particularly after 8 years off, he could have quit, and no one would have criticized him.
No one would criticize Seldon for finding a soft spot on the canvas. He hasn't done it.
No,
Put together combination punches. Bruce, you're getting beat by a man with titties. Come on, man.
You got him,
Bruce.
Bruce.
He can't beat you, man.
You got him.
You let the beat you. Move around.
You got him.
From
Don't
side
let
to
this man
side.
beat
Move
you.
your head from side to
Don't
side.
let this man beat you.
Let this guy beat you. Giving him the face.
Baby boy.
There's no harm in stepping around. You're not stepping here, there's punches through here and over there. Now you do that. We don't want no wall. Take him the hell out of here, though.
Combination.
You touch and go. Don't. Seconds out.
I don't know how far Seldon is going to go. It doesn't look like he's going to go into the elite class of heavyweights, even this class of heavyweights. But in a way, he's helped to redeem himself just by showing up. And now to have a kind of gritty performance, it speaks well of him.
It was poignant when he said to us yesterday, "My neighbors laughed at me." And as Emanuel Stewart has already said here, his neighbors shouldn't laugh at him again.
You know, I think that's been the dominant thought on his mind, probably throughout this fight here. Probably which is the reason why he's fighting such a great, courageous fight.
Well, a courageous fight.
Yeah.
Not a great fight. Seldon switches back to the conventional side. Noble stays in the southpaw stance. Seldon averaging by CompuBox count 30 total punches per round here. Back in his heyday, fighting Oliver McCall, Jesse Ferguson, Jose Ribalta, he averaged 30 jabs per round. That was a different fighter.
Yeah.
Come on. Stop. One, two. Come on. Bring it up the center, Gerald. Hold up. On the nose. Come on. Now move your body some. Move your head some. Go hold him. Hold up, Gerald. Keep your hands up. Got the right hand.
Bruce Seldon firing 2 right hands out of that southpaw stance against the ropes. It's actually more of a southpaw lean at this point.
He's thrown his right jab more than his left jab.
Yeah, I can't figure that out still. Especially a guy who's been fighting as long as he has to come out and fight in a different position all the way. It's very strange.
Right here, this is a little strange.
I think Nobles is getting tired himself, and he's trying to find a clean punch so he don't punch himself out.
What if the thing goes 10 rounds? I mean, how stunning would that be, based on the way the first couple rounds looked?
I never thought it would go past 3 rounds.
I didn't think Seldon would be able to stand up for 6 rounds. But his exhaustion seems to be ebbing a little bit as he manages to fire combinations of punches.
And clean up effective punches, too.
Hold on. I got you.
Seldon finally active enough to possibly put himself in position to win a round.
Actually, as tired as he is, he's actually punching more effective and accurate than Nobles is.
What are you trying to prove?
You beat him, but you got to listen, son.
You stand there getting hit.
All the way. It's very strange.
Right here, this is a little strange.
I think Nobles is getting tired himself, and he's trying to find a clean punch so he don't punch himself out.
What if the thing goes 10 rounds? I mean, how stunning would that be, based on the way the first couple rounds looked?
I never thought it would go past 3 rounds.
I didn't think Seldon would be able to stand up for 6 rounds. But his exhaustion seems to be ebbing a little bit as he manages to fire combinations of punches.
And clean up effective punches, too.
Hold on. I got you.
Seldon finally active enough to possibly put himself in position to win a round.
Actually, as tired as he is, he's actually punching more effective and accurate than Nobles is.
What are you trying to prove?
You beat him, but you got to listen, son.
You stand there getting hit with a nobody. You know how to counter punch to make the man miss 2 punches. You didn't tolerate. When you make a man miss, you're supposed to make him pay, don't you? What do that for?
You're a boxer, Bruce. You fight this guy's fight. What do you do this for? Bruce, go to your jaw. Move from side to side. Get this guy in the center of the ring. Start boxing, right? You guys not start fighting yet. It's time for you to start. It's not too late for you.
Seldon left, fired at close quarters, but when that happens, you can see the difference in hand speed, the difference in quickness launching punches in Seldon's favor. So if he could step up the activity rate a little bit down the stretch, he may still have a chance in the fight. Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Hey, Jim, I got it 4-2, 58-56, Gerald Nobles. Jim, I still said, that second round that Seldon won has to be 10-9. And also, I thought Bruce Seldon did win the 6th round. That's his 2 rounds. Gerald Nobles seems to be dominating the other 4. Bruce Seldon has a hard time keeping his arms up because he has all that muscle.
Seldon got in, well, it might have been a little left hook, but he popped Nobles' head back a little bit with the left. Now he goes back into that southpaw stance. When he was in the conventional stance, he fired the left hand so effectively.
You know, I think that Harold suggested a good point when he talked about Seldon adding all that muscle, because maybe that he added that muscle for some body armor, but it's aside from the layoff and the age, it seems to have slowed him down a lot.
Well, he was always a muscular guy anyway, just by nature. And the extra, I guess, weight that you pick up as you age, particularly heavyweights, doesn't help in his case.
A lot of it's in his legs and in his butt. It means it's going to be hard for him to lose it. He'll probably continue fighting at 250 regardless of the conditioning factor.
If he continues fighting. Part of the good news of the story is he told us that somebody had invested some of the money that he earned in that Tyson fight, a gross purse of $5 million in an annuity. Collects something over, I think, $30,000 or dollars a year from that annuity.
For the rest of his life.
For the rest of his life.
Which he hopes will be enough to get him by, if in fact he doesn't gain a lot of cabbage from his return to boxing here. Hard right hand by Seldon. Nobles takes it perfectly.
Only problem with Seldon, he seldom punches. But when he does punch, he's very effective for the most part. He seemed to have gotten his second win here.
Obviously, in sparring, you have headgear on, but did Nobles show the great chin when Lennox Lewis was able to buzz him with the right hand?
Yes, he did. He never was staggered in the entire training camp. Sometimes maybe outclassed, but never staggered at all. He took some good punches, too. But very, very strong guy internally.
So the chance of Seldon gaining a knockout here would seem to be slim based on the way we've seen Nobles take Seldon's stuff.
Yes.
We're between rounds 7 and 8. Here are some upcoming boxing dates about which you certainly should know. May 22, Floyd Mayweather test the waters at 140 pounds against DeMarcus Chop Chop Corley. You saw him against Zab Judah last summer. June 5, our next HBO pay-per-view. Oscar De La Hoya fighting at middleweight for the very first time, plus middleweight champion Bernard Hopkins on the same card. June 19, Boxing After Dark. Marco Antonio Barrera against Paulie Ayala. Jermaine Taylor against Raul Marquez. And then July 24, live on HBO, Arturo Gati's back, defending his 140-pound title belt against Romanian-born Montreal fighter Leonard Doreen. Gatti Doreen could be sensational in July.
Gatti Ward 4.
Meaning that Doreen is just as subtle as Ward was?
Well, Doreen's a tough guy. Strong, tough little guy.
Round 8 between Bruce Seldon and Gerald Nobles, and you can see that the fight gets tighter on Harold Letterman's card as he gave the last round to Seldon as well. 2 consecutive rounds now won by Bruce Seldon, and on Letterman's card, he's only 1 point away from Gerald Nobles. Now Seldon is really beginning to step up the energy level, and he pops Nobles with that good left jab and hits him with it again. Is this a matter of Seldon shaking off the rust before our eyes, Emmanuel?
Yeah, but this is a rough way to shake it off. You know, as Larry said earlier, this is where he's going to fight. This may be his first fight back, and maybe his last fight back also. He can't continue at the real, taking this kind of punishment, especially at the age of 37.
Stop, let him up. Let him up.
Nobles answers the jab with 2 left hands of his own. Seldon switches back into that southpaw stance. Comes out in this round, lands a series of good left jabs, still in the southpaw stance. Now he pops him with the right hand. Nobles needs to get busier after Seldon may have squeaked by and won the last 2 rounds. Both fighters showing their fatigue as they rest mutually for 20 seconds in the middle of the 8th round. Nobles backing Seldon up with the right hand. Seldon landed 1, Nobles landed 4.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with the way that Nobles made an adjustment. He's pinpoint picking his punches, not wasting as much energy now, keeping his balance, and just systematically trying to break Bruce down instead of trying to take him out with 1 punch now.
Might have noticed that the late rounds were arriving. It was possible the fight was going to go the distance, and now Nobles has decided to put leather on target, which is a smart thing to do when you want to win rounds.
Yeah, accuracy and volume, not so much going for the big knockout like he was earlier.
And body punches to limit Seldon's activity. And there's a good solid left hand over the top by Gerald Nobles. So Nobles reels in his expectations and his ambitions a little bit, tries to just get something done in terms of contact, and winds up having a really good round. Jay Nady, referee's instructions for the main event.
There's no 3 knockdown rule in this fight. And if someone gets knocked down, we're going to go count all the way to 8. Okay. If you lose your mouthpiece or he loses his mouthpiece, at the first opportunity when there's a lull in the action, I'll call timeout. Okay? If you knock your opponent down, I'll send you to the neutral corner. Stay there until I tell you to come out. If you come out too soon, I'm going to send you back to the corner, and that'll give your downed opponent more time to recuperate. Obey my commands. It's very important.
Okay.
All right?
I got you.
Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Jay Nady was the referee for Roy Jones's conquest of John Ruiz to win a heavyweight title belt. In the eyes of most, Nady did a great job that night. Ruiz and his manager, Norman Stone, were not happy. CompuBox numbers through 8. Gerald Nobles has thrown 368 punches, 120 more than Bruce Seldon. But the number of punches landed, not all that different. 95 for Nobles, 81 for Seldon. Nobles stemmed the Seldon rally on Harold Letterman's scorecard, winning that last round, the 8th. Right hand by Seldon lands on the face of Nobles. And now Bruce Seldon goes down as it seemed as though he was caught in the eye.
Yes, I think that was it. He turned away when the glove.
Maybe he was thumbed in the eye and decided that was more damage than he wanted to sustain, or stunned by a punch to the cut eye. But either way, Seldon simply was suddenly out of the fight.
Yeah, he just resigned. He said, "That's it. I'm done."
Ow. I mean, it certainly wasn't a big punch.
No. In fact, it looked like it was an injury at one time, and I thought it was even a butt bleed.
I think it was fatigue more than anything.
Well, we mentioned that he would have been criticized by no one if in the 3rd or 4th round he'd have been looking for a soft spot on the canvas. And perhaps it was just a matter of the old soft spot on the canvas here. But remember, it's the right eye which has been bleeding and damaged.
Right there, that left hand that went into the right eye.
More pain than Seldon could handle at that moment.
Yeah, but he acquitted himself very good tonight, I think, and it comes down to worrying and questioning his heart.
Well, if he wanted to erase the memories of his horrible showing against Tyson here 8 years ago, certainly he accomplished much of that tonight. But it's another victory for Nobles. Let's go to Michael Buffer for the official particulars.
Congratulations on your win, man. The victory nevertheless.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Tony Weeks reaches the count of 10. This bout comes to an end at 41 seconds of round number 9. The winner by knockout victory. He is still undefeated. His record now 23-0, 18 KOs. He's the undefeated South Philly powerhouse, Gerald the Jedi Nobles.
Final CompuBox numbers as the Philadelphia heavyweight. You heard him called the South Philly powerhouse there. Gerald Nobles winds up with a victory over Bruce Seldon by TKO in the 9th, landing 14 more punches, throwing 129 more. Seldon had the higher connect percentage and the quicker hands, but was unable to show power after gaining a knockdown of Nobles in the 2nd round. Power punches, and again, Seldon's power punches weren't overwhelmingly powerful when he was able to land them. Nobles with a little more strength on his shots and landing more in the category of other than jabs. Hooks, crosses, uppercuts, body shots. James Brown upstairs, our host.
All right, Jim, thank you.